usually very, very deep. So I thought and I think that the occasion of investigating immersiveness or immersion was more a provocation to start systematizing our methodologies when a clear, significant event in technology is happening today, and it's called virtualization. So we were discussing already at night, how do we face an intense, radical virtualization of all symbolic and I would say even daily functional realms and realities? How do we react as artists to data management and technically to a very strong approach to virtualization that is very functional and probably not artistic at all? We already faced this with the internet. It was a big dream and it became a big bazaar. Yeah, obviously a bazaar for information too, but it's a big bazaar. And they are probably even taking out all the potential freedom of the internet will be organized, regulated, and who knows where it's going to end up. No, I'm just saying that I just used all the information coming from each single experience, the information in the sense that we received packages of specific interaction design experiences, sonification, transmutation, transcoding attitudes, and obviously very special ways to design the presence, the action of sharing, even creating contradictions, again, sensorial contradictions and sensorial challenges were at the basis of how we defined at the beginning, in a very rhetoric and I would say conservative way, immersion. But today I see immersiveness and immersion as a possibility for artists and designers to approach the hybridization between virtual reality and traditional reality, a challenge and an occasion to steer it in directions that are not the ones that are predictable. Or I would say maybe not predictable. No, let me finish, just simple. I want to share the concern, because otherwise we never get to the point that we are responsible. I have the feeling that we can stay in a world, do our nice artwork, and the world is anyway going in places and areas that are really not exactly ideal. So we all were big dreamers, okay? Democracy, communication, and then you see how the world is going. Sorry, this is a call for responsibility. We can go very sophisticated, very abstract, very radical, but what is happening to this world? Where is the ecology awareness that could drive from data to abstraction what the world will be?
But you are looking for the general answer, Lorenzo.
Methodology. Okay. About methodology. But I'm just sharing, guys.
Are you sure?
Provoking you.
Are you sure
Be
that?
aware.
Are you sure that everybody are able to follow this kind of question, and they are really able or really wishing to follow? You are just putting the question, and then we are just sitting.
No, Marek.
No, but that's really the point also, because you have a feeling that. Okay.
It's not true that everything is equal. I mean, it's not true. Sorry.
Yeah, okay.
If you go to Syria, if you analyze what happened in these 7 years, it's not true that was the only solution. It's over.
No,
for me,
clear.
It's over. This idea that because we are abstract artists, fatalism is the counterpoint. Sorry, I do not accept. Like cities could be better. Why they are not better? No? I'm fed up with this attitude that we stay somewhere, the ivory tower, and we look at the world. Wake up, okay? VR is already here. You said you made an amazing joke yesterday. You said, this is not the future. This is now.
It's always now.
No.
No.
Everybody thinks that things are happening. You see now.
No,
but anyway, I'm confirming what you said, Marek. But I'm just making a call for responsibility. Methodologically, politically, from city planning to art exhibition design. Then everybody declines it as it wants. But don't just take out, just take it as an offer. Then you can also go ahead and dig your holes. I mean, anybody can do whatever.
Yeah, but why we should be so strong? Why you should be so desperate? Why we should now go into this kind of strong elements and getting this kind of context? Why? Why you need to do it now? Why you are not closing?
Sure. Why you're not
the second time?
Happy that the
but we are not. No, you are just showing us which we are not like this. No, this is the point. You try to explain something which is not existing like this.
You are completely taking the wrong
side. But why?
No, I don't know why you take the wrong side because it's completely impertinent. Okay, so you understood what I meant.
I will say something from the past. I mean, just an example, the project that I was working with Shaw Davies, she was just trying to show, I mean, in the 90s, what VR can be used for. That, like at that time, everything was kind of in military context, and she just wanted, and you know, like black space with some blocks, very solid graphics and everything. She just wanted to show that it can be organic, that there may be no action, that you may just be in the space and just learn that space, how to perceive it. So it's just a way to find other way of using and showing how technology can be used. So maybe this is just a way to think about new technology.
Okay, other questions, please? No, because I would like to really refer to the subjects. I think it was too early what Lorenzo said. I think it was not correct that you were the first one. I will give you the point because we have still unanswered.
But moderating is not that you try. I'm just offering a contribution. You let it go. Then you let people think and react. You cannot steer how people are reacting to a specific provocation that in other contexts I wouldn't do. But I think because we are so radical artists, I think it's nice to share a more, I would say, not political in the sense that could be misunderstood, but a more involved way of feeling how realities are developing.
Oh, that was a nice conclusion of the conference this year. Thank you very much, Lorenzo. That was really great. Thank you very much. That's the end of the conference. Thank you very much. That's great. Really. Perfect. So let's go. Okay.
Why don't you give the time to everybody?
No, I give them. But you gain the voice again, you know. Come on. That's the way. That's the way. You are there. Look.
Ciao, everybody.
You are there. You are still there. It's an example.
That's not fair.
Why is not fair?
It's not fair. Come on. We have so much time they can talk.
Referring to other concepts which we are talking about during the conference.
So?
Because this is a generalized things. We are escaping. We are going to some other things which we did it yesterday twice, 3 times.
Look,
and then we are coming back to the same tone.
You cannot be a Polish dictator. I mean, you need to let that also different opinions come up. But let it go. Why it's so difficult?
I don't stop you, but Lorenzo, this is not.
Marek, it doesn't work like that. So
I think she had something to say.
Exactly.
So, Lorenzo, I give you the 10. Please moderate. I will go for the.
No, I'm not moderating.
Please.
Big emotions, but maybe these emotions are for something, not just for argue. I was thinking about Werner Herzog's movie about internet. I don't know if you see it, but it was something that we are really in reality that is just virtual. And I was very scared when I saw this movie because when we move few steps ahead, we can see that it's just manipulation, that we are going to some kind of a manipulation in the near future, and it's nothing good besides the consequences that are just around us. But I see those things. What are you what were you talking about? And I was thinking about the responsibility in music, and I was interested what you mean in spirit of music.
I think that there are also other musicians that can tell you that the music industry, obviously, is clearly almost dying. So we can share many of these concerns about how, yeah, manipulation and control is an issue, indeed. But,
well, I don't know if we need an industry. Right? The kind of music I do, I don't know if we want to have an industry. I don't know if it's something that we can profit aesthetically.
but the question that sorry, your name?
Carolina.
Carolina was more a question on control in music, control in media. No?
Well, I really have nothing to contribute to this discussion. Industries and these kind of topics are out of my thinking when I do music.
But you did industry too.
Well, I work for industries. Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, but my music was never thought in terms of industry. So far, probably I will, but not now. Thankfully. Probably we need it, but I don't know.
Can we do something like one phrase for everybody? I know if you want to stretch your thoughts, if I understood well, because I'm not sure, is because we live in the virtual. We don't know actually where we live. What is the reality we live by? Because we are living in the place, let's call it virtual, made by somebody else. I mean, but by people who deliver technology. And as long as we do not know exactly how the technology works, we are very easy to be manipulated. I agree, absolutely. And for me, the clue to get out of this kind of reservoir, we are closed in the reservoir by somebody else, is to hack the technology, is to go as deep as we can. For example, we are telling stories about art, as I said, and we are telling a lot about technology. Actually, we do not know anything about it, like EEG. EEG is a good example. You know, we do not understand how does it work, mostly. We just use it because people like it. And we receive it, we buy mindsets or something, but we do it for fun, you know. But to use it in the proper, what is the proper, in a conscious way, or being aware of this, we have to go very, very deep into technology, which is very difficult because hundreds of technicians work for this, and huge companies, there is a huge budgets, and we are just one person or team of people having no such a budget, and we devote a lot of time and energy to understand what's going on with the technology somebody delivered to us. And this is really a huge danger, because we cannot even say that we live in a virtual reality. We don't know what is the reality we live by as far as we don't know the technology we use. So I agree that this is a very dangerous situation, because we think we are free, we think we are artists. No way.
But why we are going again to the same point, you know, just do you deeply feel that we are controlled by the others, that we are really in a virtual world which we are not really free, and we are. I have a just opposite feeling that I'm dealing with the things which I decide to deal, and then somebody is telling me no, you're wrong, you know. There's some other things, you know, you didn't did it, that somebody else, that this company is in fact controlling you. Whatever you do It's not your profit, it's the other thing. So this is, we are full of this, of course, and in a very complicated and complex and very banal way. Even calling to our Polish situation, you know, you are really in front of the face. We see this, exactly. And do you feel that you are manipulated by the system now, for example? Do you feel it? I don't. I remember during the martial law, the people were asking me, what is the position? I said, I'm doing what I want to do, whatever it is around. You know, so then I should believe, I should accept there is something behind me and controls you, and that's why you are doing as it is. I don't feel it. This is wrong feeling, by my opinion.
No, but it's okay. It's your feeling. It's we respect it. Can I just say that we are not probably discussing only how you feel personally in your, especially when you are in your 50s or 60s, and your career has been obviously very, very, very deeply influenced by several historical events that happened, obviously internet included, and other technological steps we went through, or leaps even, because definitely internet was a big jump. But it was more, to me, the investigation of immersion during the last 20 years was more trying to understand how to control all these subtle relationships between languages and space or environments. So I feel the necessity of giving an answer that is wider than my personal feeling of freedom. It's more a methodological issue. How do we manage this complexity? How do we transfer it into education and sharing? Obviously, concerts. No, you also make this comment. Concerts are anyway a moment of involvement. You also involve public that has no idea what is going on. That's beautiful when it happens. But I would say, I feel from the scientific and technology point of view, the necessity of expressing not only the danger, but also the beauty of this transition. We are made of transitions. They are not disappearing. They will always be. But we feel, and I'm not alone, sorry, otherwise it would be ridiculous, this feeling that manipulation and technology control, if in the hands of just small groups or bigger groups or unpredictable groups, is something that we need to consider. An example, the VR friend was telling me that every time that he connects Oculus, 7 mega goes to Facebook automatically. And he says, why? Why this has to happen? Who's regulating how we are avatars of ourselves without knowing? It's not that I can make a concert.
Can I stop?
I can make a concert out of it, or I can just share the concert.
You can accept or not. You can accept this.
You don't have always.
But because when you are finding afterwards and you are just complaining and you are just telling, well, that was an example, you know, he was manipulated because he was using Oculus, and in fact part of his data was stolen or something like that, and he knows about. So I'm very sorry,
a young boy 20 years old, he doesn't know.
Okay, so are we ready? Okay, so are we ready now to build up a small army and to fight with them?
Probably we have to do
on behalf. Wait a minute, because that's the point. On behalf of our friend who decided to do it like this, and we are not happy with this. I think he accepted also the fact that it goes like this, or not. If not, he shouldn't do this. He shouldn't use it. You know. So that's why we are opening open frame, open source projects. That's why we try to be free as much as possible. And of course, you can always say, no, this is all fake. You don't know.
Not fake.
It is not real. This is not existing. In fact, it's always something behind you. And then we should stop, you know, everything. We should stop activity, or we should make a strong humanitarian missions all the time. Oh, okay. You made it. Lorenzo, you made the project, so you have this argument. But this is also not the point. We experience many strong moments in our life, And we are doing what we are doing. We are concentrating on our activity, and we try to make it as good as possible. So I don't have a feeling that I'm wrong in part of my activity. Part of the activity is working. In fact, I'm not happy that we have almost empty hall. This is the point. So in this moment, on the first day of the conference, I should close it, for example. Can you imagine? That was really the point, because in fact we are working quite hard to make it happen. We are deciding to put the poster over the city, even that our offices of promotion say, no, don't do it. Nobody will react because there are so many posters. You should be massive. You should work on this conference for a year. And then I said, well, but what about the other projects? You did too. You have to show all the time that your project is the best and is the most important. And in fact, we had the coincidence, like opening Intermedia, like the project in Jakanka. In one project was crowd, on another project was very problematic, all this. But in fact, it's changing all the time.
But also
and it's in many, in many cases, it's unpredictable. It's unpredictable. It's work like this. This is the consistency of our moving dealing, and then I'm in trouble to accept the general models and general methods.
That's your problem, and it's okay. I have my problem. Everybody has his angles, so it's okay that you keep your angle.
This is not only
you
personal
keep your
problem.
angle, but you cannot put it always so personal. I just want to simply make it less personal, if possible. When you need to regulate hybrid states, like, for example, augmented reality and normal reality. No, it happened to me that there was a client asking, okay, amazing events you are thinking and designing, amazing interactions between virtual, physical, and... But if accidents happen? So, forget about the political, the Syrian crisis, the bullshit of the elites, so we don't know why we have these elites. Okay, all these questions, put them in another, let's say, room. But let's come also to the incredible necessity of designing a hybrid world with the skills that all of us have been sharing these days, that are all the new skills. I was making the joke, we can think of singers that are synthetic singers. Maybe they will never study singing, but they can start studying how to play samples in an expressive and coherent way. So these cycles are happening, are real. We need to understand how to nurture this potential, that is the synthetic potential of language, and I would say of humans, and at the same time, taking care of the transition. What is the virtual city? What is the real city? How many sensorial problems did you face in VR? So it's interesting that there's not only a functional answer, there's also an artistic, hyper-stimulated answer. So it's interesting from this conference, so Marco, you have to accept that it's also a positive comment. It's interesting to see how all these skills coming here, converging, to Krakow, to share their own angles, in a way they already give an idea of what could be a VR studio, designing, the hybridization of realities. Because this is the theme. Anything is immersive. You go to a forest, you are here, you feel the wood, the curtains, but the next step is how do we hybridize all these dimensions? So, thanks to the conference, I have more elements.
More illness.
Elements to think.
Yeah.
And
I don't know. In both cases, I think. Let me try to organize what I was thinking when you two were talking. But I think there's a sense. I have the feeling that we're trying to detach from technology, like if it was not part of our perversion, like if it was not part of our necessity of transcending. Like if there's an element that is technological that is growing on itself, but it's basically the mechanics of our brain. I mean, more basic.
Just to be clear, I show this because that's the only way to test whether the webcast is going on, because it's hanging all the time. So I just put it to the screen, and then we see that it goes on, because this is the live webcast, and that's it. it's not going on, in fact, in loop. So I don't show it this. So that's safe. Sorry.
But then you end up again with the same thing of industry. It just this feeling of the technology is an entity that is trying to control us. It's just a mark. I mean, it's a matter of money and human necessity. It's not an entity that is learning on itself. It's just, and if we have a big cruise of companies that are trying to design things, it's just because they want to acquire more money. And this is the part of the thing that we should probably think about. This is the most basic element of a brain of humans that are trying to just get everything for ourselves. But it's not technology or not virtual this is the most, the reason why we keep existing. But this idea of detaching the technology it's a superpower that is above us. I don't see it.
I think we didn't present this.
No.
Most of the system in this way.
No.
I understand that if it's or this conspirational that there are powers.
It's not conspiration. It's an understanding how we can contribute systematically. That's another point.
But this is by detaching from industries.
Probably is even fighting or creating alternative conglomerations. It's not a new issue. Even in the 70s, there are theoreticians or even artists that are trying to see if there are alternative communities, or even in the sense of organizing their life. I mean, it happened even centuries ago. It's a long story. So it's not that it's not the first time that we feel, even with the internet, it happened, that these are also occasions to reinvestigate communities, or the meaning of communities, because it's clear that we already are a community sharing a certain level of ideas, intimacy, projections. So that's something important in what Group Lab is an incredible experience of people that come with intentions, people that come without intentions. You don't know where you are. Sometimes you find yourself in different places, and you're not required to be a specialist. You just require to be present with a clock, or with anything that could be transduced in sound. So the lesson of Group Lab is already a micro-community, and already able to adapt itself in time and space. So it's not true that artists don't have alternative ideas. They always had ideas on how communities could be shaped and developed. It's not true that there's not only the industry, there's not only a certain way of doing business. It's not true that you're only successful in certain kind of manifesting your power through wealth. It's not true, but we are shy. My undertext is, let's be less shy.
But maybe it's also about education. And just like on a simple kind of level, like for music, people can use plugins that are already done and prepared for you, or you can learn how to program, and you can write something new by yourself. So I think
still you will be limited by equations.
Yeah.
So,
and if you are able to manage.
Okay, but at least you can learn how the technology is done.
But
if
there's
you
a frame, always going to be a frame on which you're going to have a final frontier. Otherwise, everything will have to be recut.
But I mean, if you program on some low level, it's the same what they are doing in big companies.
Right.
If you know the language, you can program that.
Right.
So this is something that, in schools, we should teach musicians, and don't treat us as it's technology, it's too difficult for us. It's the way to understand the world now.
Yeah.
So if you learn programming,
you should teach. You should teach teachers.
You should teach.
Yeah, that's another generational educational skills among generations and between generations. It's an issue, because if you want to have the sources accessible, the sources of culture accessible, it means that you need to know how to access sources. And this is again an ethical point, because postmodernity gives you so many possibilities, but are you able to reopen the door No? Yesterday I mentioned some colleagues from they are mathematicians or they are more into analytics, and they say, guys, students have less capacity to go back to sources in mathematics. It's an issue. They don't know anymore how to deal basic mathematics. So it's not only happening in music, and technology is.
No, I'm saying as an example that you can use what's ready by some product. I mean, you have a package that you can use, or you can do it yourself.
But it's a big effort. You can take 10 years. You have 15 years to take. I mean, not to enter the market of the labor market and do some. It's not easy to a student to tell a student stay now 20 years to study software or 15 years to study.
No, it's not 20. There's languages like maths that you can really learn.
But Mauricio already said, do you need? Is it enough to use maths, or you need to go into sound physics and know what is sound? No.
Why not? I mean, if you want to do your way something.
Educationally wise, it works trying, but then, we'll have to make new algorithms to create new synthesis. There will have to be new speakers, new cables to connect. There's the sequence is endless of things that will have to be reinvented.
I don't agree with that.
No, that's also that's a mediation. You're right.
It's like going extreme, really.
Yeah, but if the most.
Then we can go to the forest and see.
Right. But the programmers with whom I've been working that have been done software for music, they always end up doing the same thing that kids they're doing with live, Ableton Live. And they produce what it sounds like. It's going to be exactly the same. The material on which they work is exactly the same because it's the same content. As long as you end up in technology or music and electronics, you're going to have to either redesign the engine on itself, and if you redesign the engine, then you'll have to design the speakers, and if you design the speakers, then you have to design another protocol of communication between them. Otherwise, it sounds exactly the same because we're using the same equations.
No, but it's not a reduction. No, but it's not a reduction ad absurdum. It's just we need to decide.
But it's good to know. I'm not against it.
No.
Knowing to program, it's a very powerful tool. It's very, very powerful. But since the beginning of music, electronic music till today, is exactly the same principle of oscillation. There's no change in that.
I have a small example and answer for something
Poczekaj.
you told
Stójcie
just
chwilę.
a few minutes ago.
Popatrz na ekran. Za chwilę. Tam popatrz teraz się na ekran. Ekran.
I bought it and I'm not full happy with the operational system inside. I don't like that the volume control is
ultra logarithmic.
It's not in full range. If you want to increase volume, it stops and tell that it's a blockade. Because if you want to listen higher volume, you can broke your ears because it's made to listening popular music, not in the full dynamic range. So for me, it's always too quiet. So I should write my own operational system to be full happy. Yes, I cannot do this, but I can found on the internet alternative operational system, which almost always someone done. So I found the operational system which is made for someone else. I'm not implementing yet because I had no time for it, but there is existing. So I think in most of devices we are using is almost always some alternative way to use it. That's my answer.
This coffee is very hot, and if I burn my mouth and I was in the United States, I could sue them. like the children, because it doesn't say it's fun. It's the same. Yeah. The reason why is because
they say it because they want to avoid that you sue them. That's why. So we go back another kind of self-organization where humans are very good at, you know, preventing criminal actions and trying to categorize all possible behaviors. But,
although if you drink the liquid that is in that spring, you get really fine, and that's not illegal. Is that it?
I just show that the conference, in fact, is not over. we have the extra element tomorrow on Monday at 12 o'clock. We have a meeting with two excellent artists, composers, performers, philosophers. They were interpolated, you know, from different places here. And that's, I think it's also a nice occasion to continue our talk, because that was, in fact, our intention. We have a workshop, we have a meeting, not only with the students. So this is when you are in a city and you are around the railway station, Academy of Music, main post office, you know, then it all is quite close to meet us again. This time we go to Studio A6, the main studio venue. And this is nice because it's limited space, so the crowd cannot come.
Here in this building? Is in this building?
In a building. We can go now even to show you where it is. Yes. No. And we should be a little bit earlier to visit the lady with the papers. Then we
what time? Well,
you know, the discussion was started at 3. Now is 2. Now is 3:08. I think it's a nice conclusion. In fact, as I said, I'm very happy because the conclusion was yesterday. That it happens sometimes. We made a really special performance yesterday here. This part of the audience was very active, and we were dealing with them in the form of different.
Then I tell you what was it, because it's exactly related to my critical statement, and you will see that you agree even more.
No, we agree with this, but this is a point. This is a point of efficiency sometimes.
No, you're right. No, you're right, but it's.
And you know, in fact, I was expecting the actor who is joining us, but he's just laughing and he's just sitting there, going out, coming back, coming back.
Was
you know,
visual designing for a techno party till 3 o'clock, so he was already concerned about interaction and masses and control.
So thank you very much for everybody to be with us. Dzięki, Hania. Thank you, Hania. Że byłaś z nami, że nam pomagałaś. She helped us, you know, she was making the sound check this morning. I was not quite clear whether it was working, and it was working because he checked it. She checked the microphone.
So important is
I jeszcze ważna informacja, tak jak mówiłem, wszystkie referaty są już na YouTubie, także jeżeli Państwo piszecie Imersja, to się tam pojawia bardzo dużo różnych artykułów, a najłatwiej jest wejść na stronę studia, czyli ta strona, na której byłem przed chwilą.
Ale wystarczy napisać Imersja przez jedno M i wtedy się pojawia tylko to.
Tak, ale wystarczy, jeżeli wejdziecie Państwo tutaj na to miejsce, on w tej chwili jest transmitowany na żywo, ale jeżeli naciśniecie Państwo na ten link, to wchodzicie Państwo na YouTube od razu na wszystkie konferencje. Także to jest najprostsza metoda znalezienia wszystkich poprzednich nagrań i referatów. Także wchodzimy na stronę studia, tam za chwileczkę przestanie być transmisja już aktywna. So I just show the website of the studio and there's a small tab on the bottom here. It was already, wait a minute, it's like this. And here you have YouTube. When you click here, then you go to the channel. To YouTube, to all channels from our conference. Here on the right.
So the concept is there.
Everything is there.
Everything is there.
Everything is there.
Can you go back to the website?
Yes, the website of the studio is sme-kraków.pl.
I need to take a photo.
You have it in the
Było naprawdę w porządku.
Zbieraj, Henia.
No.
Do roboty.
Naprawdę. Teraz do roboty, teraz wszystko musimy posprzątać.
Tylko co mamy robić?
No sprawdź, czy jeszcze mikrofon działa.
No działa.
Nie działa, czyli
działa.
dobrze, bo ma nie działać, czyli dobrze. Nie
Okej.
działa, bo się już skończyło, nie?
A ten działa?
Działa, czyli dobrze też.
Czy zabieraj go?
Zatrzymuję.